Okay, so we're going to start with case study 3. This case study was revolving around sexuality of high school students. Question number 1, would you consider Mary Lou's comments a veiled threat? And I'll start off by saying, yes, I do think that they're a veiled threat. I think that she is very intimidated by this group of parents. And I think that the threat that she made does infringe on their First Amendment rights. I've actually been to schools where we had openly homosexual kiddos, and they went to prom together, and we had the second year I was at Brevard, they started an LGBT support group as a club. And there was a little bit of pushback on it, but it got done because they had the right to do so. They didn't force anybody to come. People came on their own, and I thought that it was nice that they had a community that they felt comfortable with. Your thoughts, ladies?
You said something that it just kind of sparked in me. You said they went to prom and they were wanting to go to prom. A lot of people don't say anything when a group of girls go to prom.
Right.
Or when 2 girls go to prom. Not that it's a bad thing, but it's like you just say, oh, it's just me and my friend. And that could have been the same instance with them. Only the reason that they kind of stood out is because they were showing affection. Right. But if they just went to the prom as 2 guys, nobody would have ever known, because I know I went to my high school prom with my best friend. And we danced together and hung out, and I know I still do it with my friends now. We go out, we hang out or whatever. So I felt like it was kind of like you said, infringing on their First Amendment. How could you not allow them not to be able to go, but you could allow 2 girls to go together, and you don't know their sexuality or anything like that, but you still allow them to be able to go together.
Right. I think that if there was already in place a rule that none of the same gender can go as a couple, or if you would like to go, you have to go separately. You have to buy your ticket separately. I think that she would have a leg to stand on with this, maybe, and it wouldn't seem so much like she's infringing on their rights, but she can't. I don't feel like. The other thing to think about is, what kind of rules as a high school do they have about showing affection?
Yeah, I feel like this should just be across the board. It doesn't matter what type of relationship you're in. There should be no PDA at all. And that way you don't have any discrimination, just no PDA at all. And that would probably put it into that.
That's what I said as well. I agree. I think that she overstepped her boundaries when she was telling the parents that they need to speak sense into their son. Like that's kind of going across the border, as far as.
Oh, they definitely have a lawsuit on their hands. They could win a lawsuit easily. Especially with this veiled threat that she's made and what she said to these parents. I think that she was scared, but then she bit off more than she could chew.
Right.
Okay, the second question, what are Mary Lou's responsibilities under the law? So her responsibilities under the law are that she cannot discriminate against anyone based on their race, sexuality, sex, any of that. And I think that she is doing that by telling them that they can't go to prom together.
I also think about the fact of safety. You're supposed to have safety in mind for every single child. It doesn't matter race, anything like that. So I kind of thought, she was not really doing the job as protecting them.
Right.
It kind of was just kind of let go just because of their sexuality. So it wasn't like no safety was.
Parents.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, under the First Amendment, LGBT students do have the right to freely express themselves. However, in South Carolina, that goes only as far as the expression cannot be materially or substantially disruptive. But I mean, that's very
broad.
That's subjective. Now, we had an issue a couple of years ago with a student who wore a shirt that said that she was openly lesbian, and it offended a teacher, and the teacher claimed that it was substantially disruptive to her class. However, even though that may have been the case, it ended up making it to the media, and the student won the case. And not only was it just, now it was a wave, it started something in our school, and we had a group that wanted to meet as a club. And because we allow Christians to meet as FCA, we also had to allow that to happen, even though we didn't want to. So, and I say we, I'm talking the school, had a big pushback on that. But so, I think that, under the law, if schools allow religious groups to meet, they also have to allow this.
Other groups, right?
Yeah, any groups that want to meet.
Well, and the thing is that when it boils down to looking at it from the principal's eyes, I think that, what is she scared of?
Mm-hmm.
If you really are there for all kids, no matter what is she scared of? If these parents are going to pull their kids from their school, okay, it's a free country. If you want to pull your kids from our school, you're going to find problems at other schools. Every school has problems. Every school is going to do things differently. That's one thing I've learned working at a school of choice as a charter school. There has come a time, just a couple of times, where my principal this year or last year has said, we're a school of choice and you don't have to bring your child here if you don't want to.
I also look at maybe if I've never, like Jessica and Amanda, you said you've experienced that. I've never experienced it. So I don't know how I would respond to that. So I feel like what you were saying earlier, there has to be some kind of rule, procedure, or something that the administrator should go over with everybody just in case that arises. It's something big that's happening now. It's happening more often in schools.
Right.
So it's something that I feel like should be addressed for people like me. Like, I don't know how I would deal with it. I don't know, because I have my own views as well, even though I'm not supposed to push my views off on everybody else. But I don't know what I would react in that situation if I had to experience that. So I feel like it should be something that's addressed so that everybody's kind of aware and everybody's all on the same page, and it's not one person doing this and this person doing this, but everybody, if we have a mission at a school to make sure all the kids are, educated, we all need to be on the same page with that. So I feel like it should be something that's addressed across the board so everybody's aware of it, so you can be prepared.
Right. We had the same student. It was a big push. She was in orchestra, and in orchestra, whenever they dress up, you're either supposed to wear a dress or you were supposed to wear a suit. If you're a girl, you wear a dress. If you're a guy, you wear a suit. Well, she bucked the system, and wanted to wear the suit. And there was a big push. But because it went to the media, where the school fought for her to wear the dress, because that's what the teacher fought for, because that was policy. But, we're just in a different age and time now where, a student can identify as a different gender, and, that's that. So.
Yeah. Wow, it seems like you've had a lot of this and a lot of the stuff go into the media. Do they just know to go to the media when things don't go the way that they expect them to?
Yeah, they probably think they'll get more.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was just one student. This was one student, and it just happened. It was over a course of a couple of years. She ended up dropping out, and then she came back and actually graduated. But, some of them just really know how to do it now. Now we have a media liaison who actually worked with WSPA 7 on your side, and so now we kind of, have a buffer. So
did it take that to happen for you to get a buffer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I believe so.
Which is something like I feel like should have already been in place, because this could have happened at any time. It shouldn't take something like this to happen for you to put in procedures, which I know there's certain rules. But like I said, this is kind of an eye-opener to me, because I don't know how I would react. I don't know what I would do in that situation.
I mean, I'll give props to these boys. They're very strong in their beliefs. And I mean, it takes a lot to stand up to a huge crowd and to your principal and say, not only are we going to fight back, but we want to start a club alliance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, not many students would be able to have that kind of voice.
But it is the principal's job to protect their individual rights too.
Right.
So,
So question 3, how should Mary Lou respond to the concerns of Jerry and Cindy Hudson? I think she could go tell them to kick rocks. I mean, I think she explains to them the same thing we're talking about, that she's responsible for the safety and the interest of every single student, and that if they're not happy with her school, then you know, there's nothing that she can do to you know, infringe upon the rights of anyone.
Yep.
I think that they believe that because they're trying to gather people in masses, that they're going to have more of a voice, but it's the law, so it doesn't matter how many parents they get together.
I think that was just their push. Like you said, they felt like, oh, if I do this, then they won't be able to have this. I don't think they would have went to that extreme, because it's more to it than what they expect.
Right. And I mean, as much as schools are in a sense customer service, it's a lot less of a customer service job in a public school, because, you know, charter school is a school of choice. Private school is really customer service because they rely on their students to function. But public school has more of a leg to stand on because they may not have another option.
Right.
And I was going to say, I worked at a private school before. I worked at a public school, and it was absolutely like that. It was, we're going to do whatever it takes to make the parents happy. And so that would, I think, be I think you could handle it a little differently in a private school. I think you still have to be careful because you could still see a lawsuit with this case. Absolutely. But I'm with you guys. I mean, I think that, you know, you tell them that. I think my response would be, you know, acknowledging the fact that it may not go along with their beliefs. But then, like what you guys said, as far as that it's her duty, or it would be my duty to protect the children under the law and their rights. And, you know, until it becomes excessively distractive to the learning environment, then they're allowed to do that, you know.
The thing is that prom isn't a learning environment. So,
no. Right.
Yeah.
And unless I think that this is definitely an area where she could grow in sense of having maybe some type of PDA rule in place. Because that's kind of what sparked this whole thing to begin with.
Yep.
Did I cut somebody off?
No. I was just going to say what you said earlier, but it needs to be enforced for, you know, hetero and homogeneous, you know.
Yep.
For all.
Homogeneous.
To be fair and across the board, consistent and fair across the board.
There you go.
Got your school brain on still.
Done for today.
Should Mary Lou allow Jimmy and Willie to attend the prom as a couple? I say yes.
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 Yeah. Maybe there should be
I think there should be a dress code, because depending on, you know, you allow them to go, you don't know how far they're going to go. Like middle schoolers just went to prom in Chester, and there were some girls that were dressed like boys. I don't know if that was okay with them, whatever, but you just need to have some kind of dress code established to kind of, you know, because if the kids are already kind of aware of this, I don't want to, you know, the bullying or anything to happen while they're at prom. So I think some type of dress code, they should be allowed to go, but I think a dress code for the entire school should be enforced.
Right.
Dress code and rules. Certain rules.
I think that there definitely is room for growth in this principal in a lot of ways, and I think that maybe at the end of the year, like she said, she is only a couple months from graduation, that she reflects on how she's handled the situation and rooms and areas that she could grow in as far as changing some of the policies in her school.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. There's case study 3. I'm going to see if I can pull up case study 4. Case study 4 was pretty in-depth.
It was.
I don't know. This is so jumbled. I don't know. Let me see here.
They're like at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, there we go. Here. Okay, can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay. So, I think that I just want to preface us discussing this. I think that because of the location and the type of school, I think that it was kind of hard for me to relate to this one as much. And special education is definitely my passion and what I have a master's degree in. And so I feel very passionate towards this, but I found it hard to relate more so than if it was similar to what we've done so far.
Right.
But that aside, question number 1, how might the principal approach this and future meetings with her teachers? Is it necessary to choose one approach? I can't read.
Over another.
Okay, over the other path that you should take. Does it jump to number 2?
I think number 1 is all together.
Okay.
So it talks about the approach, and then is it necessary to choose one approach over the other approach?
Well, I thought that her approach of taking one teacher into a meeting while someone else held another meeting with all the other teachers was no bueno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
that caused more division than she would have even imagined. And not only that, but she's basically putting her teacher in a really bad position.
Right.
It makes it uncomfortable when it's kind of like you just single me out.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but I mean, I feel like she's kind of throwing her under the bus to her colleagues. I mean, I've never been in a situation where an administrator met with a team or the whole staff even and was like, teacher so-and-so is doing this, and what do you think about it? I mean, it's just very unprofessional.
And that can cause a lot of drama.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it seems like it kind of did cause trauma, and we don't even see the backlash between the teacher and the other teachers.
Right.
But do we think that maybe depending on what it's, because the question was saying like, was it necessary to choose one approach over the other? Are there some cases maybe that this approach may be okay? It's just a thought.
I'm trying to think. I think that I see where she's coming from in meeting with both groups, but I think that she should have included the teacher in both meetings.
Right. It should have been done simultaneously instead of separately.
Yeah.
I think that if she wanted to have the meeting about the concern and let her know that they were going to talk about it as a team.
Yeah.
I think that would have been the better approach, because then she would have been prepared.
Right, or bring some research that supports what you're doing, kind of thing.
Yes.
So, back yourself up, as opposed to, okay, I feel like you just kind of threw me under the bus. I don't know
just out of the blue, just picked me out and threw me under the bus. Yeah.
I would have felt really unsupported by the principal, and I would have felt like I was being reprimanded for doing my job.
And trying to do it the best that you know how.
Right.
Like I always sit and think, some teachers at different levels, you have to understand they're doing the best that they can with what they know, knowledge-wise.
Right.
And I was going to go back to what you said. I think the only case that I can think of that might be okay is like if a teacher has a health issue, just let let the whole faculty know, but I mean, that would be a case where that person would probably be absent anyway, and so it's not like you're extracting them and that person finds out you met with the whole staff. So that's the only case I could think of where it might be appropriate to do it that way.
And we've had that this school year. We have a girl, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard, but there's a school called Hopewell High School here where a lot of students developed ocular cancer. And she's only like 26, and she had beat ocular cancer, and now she has cancer all over. And so she's a staff member, and so we had that, you know, she was absent, and he did talk about it because she's very kind of shy about it, you know, and I think she doesn't like people to know how bad it is. So we've had that happen before. That's a good example. I didn't think about that. Will somebody read question number 2, or is there a question number 2?
2 says, what is the path that she should take? I guess, how you say her name? Eugenia? Eugenia. What is the path that she should take? Which I think we kind of talked about that a little bit.
We kind of covered that a little bit. I think that if she wanted to have this meeting with her teacher in more of a let's talk about this rather than a what are you doing kind of way, or like, why don't you talk to me about your beliefs, or why, you know what I mean? I think that she came at her in a way that made her get defensive and made her upset, made her feel like she was in trouble rather than gathering information from her, and that was her ultimate goal. I think that Go ahead.
No, you were finishing. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. And I think that if she would have approached that meeting first and said, hey, why don't we talk to all of the team members and see if we have some ideas and that we can support each other in this, I think that would have been a better approach to take.
That's what I was going to say, kind of like what Brittany was saying earlier, some research or something to back up, or some kind of idea, suggestion to kind of make it easier, instead of just coming straight out as, like you said, reprimanding her.
I was going to say her approach was definitely too direct. You know, she, like you said, she came at her. I would have been defensive, and, you know, knowing that, you know, it kind of alluded in there that she was a really good teacher and she had the, you know, her students' best interest at heart. That you don't go at a teacher like that. So I think that she's got to gather the facts. But her approach is definitely too direct. She came across the wrong way. She's got to be able to see that parents don't always understand what's going on inside the classroom, and we all know that. You know, and the teacher's correct in that being able to teach others material does indicate a higher level of understanding.
Right.
And her teaching style just reflects her.
Research to back it up.
There is.
There is research to back it up. And not only that, but it's the law, y'all. FAPE, free and appropriate education for all. And that is in the least restrictive environment. And so this comes up to the law just like our last case, in that these children, no matter what their special needs are we have a 40-minute time limit. We're going to get through this, y'all. We're going to get through this. We got 10 minutes.
Okay.
So I think that the parents may not realize that this teacher does have the law on her side, and she's trying to do what's best by these students. And I think that maybe if she had the chance to explain herself to the parents, that they would have had they took their concerns to the teacher, which a lot of times people are really bad about, and the teacher and going straight to the admin team, and the principal saying, hey, have you reached out to the teacher yet?
Yes.
Would have been a really good strategy.
Felt not supported. You know, when we talked about teacher empowerment, you felt not supported, instead of, you know, saying that, like, go to the teacher, or them actually finding out what's going on. You know, like Jessica said, parents don't always know what's going on, and they just get a little bit of the situation.
Right.
Number 4 says, what kind of collaboration from the children's families might the principal and the teachers propose in order to improve the inclusive education program, encourage an appreciation of diversity, and stimulate learning for all students at school? I think that having a meeting with the whole school, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a school. Maybe have like a diversity fair or a learning for all fair, and then talk to the parents as a whole, and then have breakout sessions would be one way.
Or doing an open house where individual teachers talk with the parents in that classroom to let them know we have students with XYZ. This is how I plan to, educate them and educate your students. They may be asked to do X, Y, and Z. So please understand that your child is still learning while helping others learn at the same time. Right. So maybe having that conversation too with the students in their class and the parents in their class.
Yeah, good idea. Shakia, Jessica, did you guys have anything for that one?
No, I like the open house. That's kind of what I was thinking. Kind of having them actually come in and see exactly what's happening, and letting them know that, like Brittany said, even though they're teaching, sometimes peer teaching is one of the best teachers. Sometimes, a child can teach another child in a better way than an actual teacher. So I think that's an option. There's always in IEPs, have a peer buddy or have a buddy do this.
There's a lot of research to back that up. And that's why a lot of teachers sit students who are high flyers struggle so that they can help each other through. Number 5, as an expert in the area of learning and evaluation, what might Ismail, the technical coordinator, do to integrate and create some harmony out of the differences in opinions among teachers? I think that there is, as we've moved through the changes in special education, the whole co-teaching model, inclusion, and getting special education kiddos out of the classroom, there has been and still continues to be this kind of friction between gen ed and regular ed teachers.
Yeah.
And I think that every school probably experiences that in some capacity. I think that sitting, having meetings where people can talk freely about their concerns and people can address what's going on. I think education of the law, education of practices, best practices in the classroom, and education of what these special education students need is going to help clarify that and to help put people on the same page.
I also think if the administrators are aware of their teachers' abilities and their comfort levels, then that can help kind of disperse things out to where somebody that's comfortable doing this and has the knowledge may be better at teaching those particular kids in their classroom than someone else that hasn't been knowledgeable. So them just being aware of what's going on and being able to place things strategically so that it works and it benefits the teachers as well as the kids.
True.
At the end of the day, we're all here to make sure the students learn, regardless of their disability. We're all here to make sure our students learn and grow. So that's our job at the end of the day. So.
And I think that's where it starts. I think you have to start with your mission and vision, and have that time that, like you guys said, you could actually meet together and teachers could have those hard conversations. And the reason, the why behind it can be shared, and the fact of they could collaborate and share ideas of ways that successful teachers with inclusion have had success and seen success. And we have a time every week that our teachers can get together, and they have an hour that they collaborate with people that they work with, and it can be different groups, but usually it's just like all the math teachers and all the different departments. But that could be a time that they could actually brainstorm, and special ed could come in, and they could all get together, and it would be.
Yeah, or even having a PD session where you use your strongest teachers to hold little breakout sessions to educate teachers. We do that a lot. Number 6, what actions might Sylvia take with the families of the children in question in order to learn and share the achievements and experiences they have observed among the children? I think that the open house was a really good idea, or having like a night for parents to come in, whether it was focused on, I think you can make it like a generalized learning night or a generalized open house and be able to showcase these things.
Yeah. Just like in our OMA, or what we talked about with the communication with parents and things like that, getting them to come in and actually seeing what their kids are doing and how their children are learning and how they're helping others learn. Maybe that will change the parents' view, like, oh, my child is actually helping someone. So it may, change their viewpoint if they're actually seeing it happen or putting it out there on social media. Look at this video of such and such teaching such and such how to read or things like that. I think if they see it, it may change their perspective a little bit.
And it also helps the kids grow. It helps them realize that, everybody is different. And you're not going to, in the world when you get older, you're not going to see, there's going to be different people that you're going to have to interact with. So not only is it academically helpful, but it's a social interaction that helps them develop and learn who they are and as they get older, to be able to be successful citizens in the society.
I actually dealt with the almost exact similar situation at our school this year, where we had a parent who had a child that was special needs in her class who had behavioral issues. And she was like, well, I don't think my child should have to be exposed to that type of behavior. And we're like, the world outside is not perfect. You can't protect your child from behaviors every grade level that you have. And it's really a character builder to have to experience different types of people with different types of learning and different types of behaviors as they grow. So, well, we have 2 minutes to spare, guys. We did really good. We're an awesome group. I love working with you ladies.
I do too.
We'll have to have a Zoom at the end and just get together and talk about everything.
Yeah,
we got to make it through this one.
I know. Well, I appreciate you guys, and I hope that you all have a great evening and a great week. And hopefully, I've got spring break coming up. I don't know about y'all, but I got spring break, so I'm just trying to hold on. Oh, well, y'all must. I hope you enjoyed your spring break. I'm trying to hang on for mine. Okay, ladies. Bye.
Bye.